Have you ever finished a long walk and thought the only parts of your body getting a workout were your legs and your heart? It certainly feels that way. Your calf muscles may be tired, your breathing a little deeper, and your heart beating faster than usual. But hidden beneath your ribs, one of the hardest working organs during every single step is quietly transforming the way your entire metabolism functions. That organ is your liver. Most people think of the liver only when they hear words like detoxification, alcohol, or liver disease. In reality, your liver is one of the busiest metabolic control centers in your body. Every minute of every day, it monitors your blood sugar, stores and releases energy, processes nutrients, manages cholesterol and triglycerides, communicates with your muscles, and constantly adjusts your metabolism to keep you alive. During a 45-minute walk, this remarkable organ never gets a break. In fact, it becomes one of the central coordinators of everything happening inside your body. In today's video, we're going to follow your liver minute by minute during an ordinary 45-minute walk. You'll discover how it decides when to release glucose, when to conserve glycogen, how it responds to changing insulin levels, why it works so closely with your muscles, and how regular walking may gradually reduce the risk of fatty liver disease. Most importantly, you'll learn why something as simple as putting one foot in front of the other can completely change the metabolic environment inside one of your body's most important organs. By the end of this video, you'll never think of walking as just exercise again. You'll understand that every step is part of an ongoing conversation between your muscles, your hormones, your blood sugar, and your liver. And that conversation has the power to reshape your health over time. One of the biggest misunderstandings about walking is the idea that it only burns calories in the muscles. This belief is easy to understand. When you walk, you feel your leg muscles contracting. You feel your heart beating faster. You notice your breathing become deeper. If you walk long enough, you may feel warmth in your body or sweat on your skin. Because these sensations are obvious, most people naturally assume that exercise is mainly a muscle event. But the liver is not sitting quietly in the background. It is not passive. It is not simply waiting for the walk to end. The liver is actively watching, adjusting, and responding from the very first minutes of movement. Think of your liver as the body's metabolic traffic controller. Your muscles are like cars moving through a busy city. Your brain is like the command center that must never run out of fuel. Your blood is the highway that carries energy from one place to another. And your liver is the control tower that decides when glucose should be stored, when it should be released, and how much energy should be made available at any moment. Before you begin walking, the liver may already be doing different jobs depending on your condition. If you recently ate a meal, insulin may be higher, and your liver may be storing some of that incoming glucose as glycogen. If you have been fasting for several hours, insulin is lower, and your liver may already be slowly releasing glucose to keep your blood sugar stable. The moment you start walking, your muscles begin asking for more energy, and the liver has to respond. This is why walking is not just leg movement. It is a liver-muscle conversation. As your muscles pull glucose from the bloodstream, your liver monitors whether blood sugar is staying stable or falling too quickly. If more glucose is needed, the liver can break down glycogen and release glucose into the blood. If energy demand becomes more balanced and your muscles start using more fatty acids, the liver can reduce emergency glucose output. It constantly adjusts based on what the rest of the body needs. The liver also processes fatty acids, helps regulate triglycerides, influences cholesterol metabolism, responds to hormones such as insulin and glucagon, and communicates indirectly with visceral fat. When visceral fat is excessive, too many fatty acids can flow toward the liver, contributing to fat buildup inside liver cells. But when walking is repeated consistently, the relationship between muscles, insulin, blood sugar, and the liver gradually improves. So the myth is not that muscles burn energy during walking. They absolutely do. The myth is that muscles are working alone. In reality, every walk is a coordinated metabolic event, and the liver is one of the most important organs making that event possible. To understand what happens inside your liver during a 45-minute walk, we first need to understand its normal job. The liver is often described as the body's chemical factory, but that description barely captures its complexity. It performs hundreds of different functions every day. Among the most important are regulating blood glucose, storing glycogen, processing fats, producing important proteins, recycling nutrients, and helping maintain the body's overall metabolic balance. During exercise, however, one responsibility becomes especially critical: making sure your muscles and brain never run out of fuel. Let's begin before the walk even starts. Imagine you have just finished eating a meal. Carbohydrates from your food are broken down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream. As blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin acts like a signal, telling cells throughout the body that energy is available. Your muscles absorb some of the glucose, but your liver also plays an important role. It removes excess glucose from the bloodstream and stores much of it as glycogen, a highly organized form of stored carbohydrate. Think of glycogen as the liver's emergency energy reserve. Instead of allowing blood sugar to remain dangerously high, the liver quietly stores part of that energy for future use. Now imagine a different situation. Instead of eating recently, you've gone several hours without food. Blood sugar has gradually fallen back toward its normal range. Insulin levels are lower than they were after your meal. At this point, your liver slowly begins breaking down some of its glycogen stores into glucose, releasing just enough into the bloodstream to keep your brain functioning normally. Your brain depends heavily on glucose, and even during rest, the liver works continuously to maintain a stable supply. Now the walk begins. Within the first few minutes, your muscles immediately require additional energy. Initially, they use ATP already stored inside muscle cells, followed by phosphocreatine and muscle glycogen. As these rapid fuel sources begin supporting movement, muscle cells also start pulling glucose directly from the bloodstream. The liver constantly monitors this process. If blood glucose begins dropping too quickly, specialized liver cells respond by increasing glycogen breakdown, a process called glycogenolysis. Stored glycogen molecules are gradually converted back into glucose and released into the circulation, helping prevent blood sugar from falling too low while your muscles continue working. This process is carefully regulated by hormones. As exercise continues, insulin levels naturally begin declining, because contracting muscles become much better at absorbing glucose without requiring as much insulin. At the same time, hormones such as glucagon and adrenaline become more active. Glucagon tells the liver that more fuel may soon be needed, while adrenaline prepares the body to respond to increasing physical activity. Together, these hormonal signals help the liver decide exactly how much glucose should enter the bloodstream. Too little, and your muscles may become fatigued. Too much, and blood sugar rises unnecessarily. The liver is constantly adjusting this balance, minute by minute. As your walk continues, another important metabolic shift begins taking place. During the early stages, carbohydrates remain the primary fuel source because they provide energy quickly. But as oxygen delivery improves and your cardiovascular system settles into a comfortable rhythm, your muscles begin increasing their use of fatty acids. This change has important consequences for the liver. Because muscles gradually rely on more fat as fuel, the liver no longer needs to release glucose as aggressively. Emergency glucose production begins slowing, allowing blood sugar to remain remarkably stable despite ongoing physical activity. Instead of constantly compensating for falling glucose levels, the liver can operate in a much more balanced metabolic environment. This is particularly important for people with insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome. When insulin remains chronically elevated because of excessive calorie intake, poor sleep, inactivity, or frequent snacking, the liver is repeatedly exposed to conditions that encourage fat accumulation. Excess glucose entering the liver is converted into fatty acids through a process known as de novo lipogenesis. Over time, these fatty acids can accumulate inside liver cells, increasing the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Walking helps interrupt this cycle in several ways. As muscles absorb more glucose during exercise, less glucose remains circulating in the bloodstream. Lower blood glucose reduces the need for large insulin releases. As insulin gradually declines, the liver receives fewer signals encouraging fat storage. At the same time, improving mitochondrial function throughout the body supports greater fat oxidation, reducing the amount of excess energy that might otherwise accumulate inside liver tissue. It is important to understand what walking does not do. Many advertisements claim that exercise detoxifies the liver or instantly removes liver fat after a single workout. That is not how human biology works. Your liver already performs detoxification continuously, whether you are exercising or sleeping. A single 45-minute walk does not magically cleanse the liver or melt away fatty deposits overnight. What it does provide is something even more valuable: a healthier metabolic environment. Every walk gives your liver an opportunity to manage blood glucose more efficiently, respond to lower insulin levels, coordinate energy distribution with your muscles, and operate under conditions that favor metabolic flexibility rather than chronic energy overload. When these healthy conditions are repeated day after day, week after week, and month after month, the cumulative effects can become profound. In other words, the real power of a 45-minute walk is not found in a single session. It lies in repeatedly teaching your liver to perform its metabolic job under healthier conditions. And to fully appreciate how this happens, let's follow your liver minute by minute throughout the entire 45-minute walk. Now let's follow your liver through the entire 45-minute walk and watch how its responsibilities change from one stage to the next. Although you may simply feel like you're taking one step after another, your liver is constantly analyzing blood glucose, responding to hormones, communicating with your muscles, and adjusting energy delivery with remarkable precision. Every few minutes, its priorities shift slightly as your metabolism adapts to the changing demands of exercise. During the first 0 to 5 minutes, your body is making the transition from rest to movement. Your muscles begin using ATP that is already stored inside muscle cells, followed quickly by phosphocreatine and muscle glycogen. Blood glucose is also available to help meet this sudden increase in energy demand. At the same time, your liver immediately begins monitoring the concentration of glucose in your bloodstream. If you started walking shortly after eating, your insulin level is probably still higher than normal. Only a few minutes earlier, your liver was busy storing excess glucose as glycogen. Now the situation begins changing. As your muscles start removing glucose from the bloodstream, the liver gradually slows its storage activity and carefully adjusts to the new energy demand. It does not suddenly release large amounts of glucose because plenty is still circulating after the meal. Instead, it continuously measures the balance between supply and demand. If you started the walk after several hours without food, the situation is different. Your insulin level is already relatively low, and your liver has likely been releasing small amounts of glucose to maintain normal blood sugar. Once walking begins, muscles consume glucose more rapidly, so the liver responds by slightly increasing glycogen breakdown. This prevents blood sugar from falling too quickly, while ensuring that your brain and muscles continue receiving a steady supply of fuel. Between 5 and 15 minutes, your muscles become much more efficient at removing glucose from the bloodstream. Repeated muscle contractions stimulate GLUT4 transporters to move to the surface of muscle cells, allowing glucose to enter without requiring as much insulin. This is one of the most important reasons why regular walking improves blood sugar control. As this process continues, insulin levels gradually begin decreasing. Meanwhile, glucagon becomes more active. Unlike insulin, which encourages energy storage, glucagon tells the liver that it may need to provide additional fuel if blood glucose begins falling. The liver carefully responds by breaking down just enough glycogen to maintain stable blood sugar without releasing unnecessary amounts of glucose. Notice how intelligent this system is. The liver is not simply releasing as much glucose as possible, nor is it trying to conserve every molecule of glycogen. Instead, it constantly makes tiny adjustments based on information arriving from your muscles, pancreas, hormones, and bloodstream. Every minute, it recalculates exactly how much energy should be available. During this same period, your cardiovascular system also becomes more efficient. Blood flow improves throughout the body, oxygen delivery increases, and your muscles begin shifting gradually toward greater aerobic metabolism. This has another important consequence for the liver. Because muscles are becoming better at producing energy with oxygen, they no longer depend exclusively on glucose. More fatty acids begin contributing to energy production, gradually reducing the pressure placed on liver glycogen stores. Now we enter the 15 to 30 minute stage. where many of the most beneficial metabolic adaptations begin appearing. By now, your breathing has settled into a comfortable rhythm, your heart rate has stabilized, and your muscles are operating efficiently. The liver notices these changes immediately. Because muscles are now using a larger mixture of glucose and fatty acids, the liver does not need to release glucose as aggressively as it did earlier. Blood sugar remains remarkably stable despite continuous movement. This is a major achievement of healthy metabolism. Rather than experiencing large spikes and crashes in blood glucose, your body maintains a relatively narrow range that supports both muscular performance and brain function. At the same time, lower insulin levels create a healthier internal environment for the liver itself. High insulin repeatedly signals the liver to store energy and convert excess carbohydrate into fat. During a sustained moderate walk, insulin demand decreases because muscles are efficiently removing glucose from circulation. This means the liver experiences less metabolic pressure to store excess energy. Another quiet but important process is taking place inside liver cells. Mitochondria within the liver continue producing ATP to support the organ's own enormous energy requirements. Although we often focus on muscle mitochondria during exercise, liver cells also rely heavily on healthy mitochondria to carry out countless metabolic reactions. A healthier overall metabolic environment supports these processes, contributing to better liver function over time. As the walk continues into the 30 to 45-minute range, your body reaches a steady metabolic rhythm. For many people, this is the stage where moderate walking becomes surprisingly comfortable. The initial stiffness has disappeared, breathing feels controlled, and movement becomes almost automatic. Inside your muscles, fatty acid oxidation contributes a larger share of total energy production than it did earlier in the walk. This means the liver can further reduce its emergency glucose output while still maintaining excellent blood sugar stability. Instead of constantly reacting to rapid changes, the liver now operates in a much calmer and more predictable metabolic environment. This prolonged period of balanced metabolism is one reason why 45-minute walks can be so beneficial when performed consistently. The liver spends an extended period working under conditions of lower insulin demand, improved glucose regulation, efficient communication with muscles, and reduced metabolic stress. While no single walk dramatically changes liver fat, every session reinforces healthier metabolic patterns. Now the walk ends. Something fascinating happens after you stop moving. Your muscles remain more insulin sensitive for several hours. They continue absorbing glucose efficiently, especially if you eat afterward. This means that when carbohydrates enter your bloodstream during your next meal, muscles can store more glucose as glycogen, without requiring as much insulin. As a result, the liver also benefits. It can replenish its own glycogen stores more efficiently while experiencing fewer dramatic swings in blood sugar and insulin. When this pattern is repeated 4, 5, or 6 days each week, the long-term adaptations become increasingly meaningful. Many people experience improvements in fasting blood glucose, lower post-meal glucose spikes, healthier triglyceride levels, better insulin sensitivity, gradual reductions in waist circumference, and a lower risk of accumulating excess fat inside the liver. These changes do not happen because the liver has been cleaned or detoxified. They happen because the liver has repeatedly practiced operating under healthier metabolic conditions. Of course, the liver cannot accomplish all of this alone. Every step of the journey depends on constant communication with your muscles, pancreas, heart, blood vessels, fat tissue, brain, and even your gut. Together, these organs form a coordinated metabolic network that makes a simple 45-minute walk one of the most powerful tools for improving long-term metabolic health. Although today's focus is the liver, it never works in isolation. Every step you take creates a chain reaction that spreads throughout the entire body. Your organs constantly exchange information through hormones, nerves, blood flow, and chemical signals. The healthier this communication network becomes, the healthier your metabolism becomes. That is why a 45-minute walk affects far more than a single organ. Let's begin with the liver itself. Throughout the walk, the liver acts as your body's energy manager. It continuously measures blood glucose, determines whether glycogen should be stored or released, processes incoming fatty acids, and coordinates fuel availability for both your muscles and your brain. As walking becomes more consistent over weeks and months, the liver gradually becomes more metabolically flexible. Instead of constantly dealing with excess glucose and high insulin, it spends more time operating under balanced conditions that support healthier glycogen management and reduced fat accumulation. Your muscles are perhaps the liver's closest partners during exercise. Every contraction requires energy, and every contraction helps remove glucose from the bloodstream. As your muscles repeatedly contract during walking, GLUT4 transporters move to the surface of muscle cells, allowing glucose to enter with much less dependence on insulin. This means your muscles become enormous glucose consumers, relieving much of the burden normally placed on the liver. Instead of handling excess circulating glucose alone, the liver now has millions of muscle cells actively helping maintain healthy blood sugar levels. The pancreas immediately notices this change. Normally, after eating, the pancreas must release insulin so glucose can enter cells. But during and after a moderate walk, contracting muscles become much more responsive to glucose uptake. Because muscles require less insulin to absorb glucose efficiently, the pancreas does not need to work as hard. Over time, this reduced workload may help protect the insulin-producing beta cells. For people with insulin resistance or prediabetes, this repeated improvement in insulin sensitivity can become one of the most valuable long-term effects of regular walking. Now consider visceral fat, the fat surrounding your internal organs. Unlike the fat beneath your skin, visceral fat is highly metabolically active. It constantly releases fatty acids and inflammatory signaling molecules into the bloodstream. When visceral fat becomes excessive, too many fatty acids are delivered directly to the liver through the portal circulation. The liver then has to process this constant overflow, increasing the likelihood of fat accumulation inside liver cells. Regular walking gradually changes this relationship. Lower insulin levels, greater muscle energy demand, and improved fat oxidation encourage visceral fat to release fatty acids that are actually used for energy rather than continuously overwhelming the liver. As visceral fat slowly decreases over months of consistent activity, the liver experiences less metabolic stress. Your heart also plays an essential supporting role. During a moderate walk, it pumps more blood with every beat, improving circulation to working muscles as well as to internal organs. Better circulation means the liver receives a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients, while metabolic byproducts are removed more efficiently. Over time, a stronger heart can deliver the same amount of blood with fewer beats, reducing overall cardiovascular strain while supporting healthier organ function throughout the body. Your blood vessels quietly assist in this process. Increased blood flow during walking stimulates the production of nitric oxide, allowing arteries to relax and widen. This improved endothelial function enhances circulation not only to muscles but also to organs, such as the liver, pancreas, kidneys, and brain. Healthy blood vessels are essential because every metabolic process depends on efficient delivery of oxygen, hormones, and nutrients. The mitochondria inside your cells are another critical part of this network. We often think of mitochondria only inside muscles, but liver cells also contain thousands of these microscopic energy factories. Healthy mitochondria allow liver cells to process nutrients efficiently, produce ATP, and manage countless biochemical reactions every second. Regular aerobic walking stimulates mitochondrial adaptations throughout the body. Muscle mitochondria become more efficient at burning fatty acids, while healthier overall metabolism also supports mitochondrial function inside the liver itself. Better mitochondria mean better energy production, improved metabolic flexibility, and greater resilience against chronic metabolic disease. The brain also benefits in ways that indirectly support liver health. Stable blood glucose allows the brain to function without triggering unnecessary stress responses. Moderate walking helps regulate cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Chronically elevated cortisol can increase blood sugar and place additional demands on the liver. By improving mood, reducing anxiety, and supporting healthier stress regulation, walking creates a hormonal environment that benefits both the brain and the liver simultaneously. Even the digestive system contributes to this conversation. Gentle body movement after meals promotes healthy circulation around the digestive organs and supports normal metabolic signaling between the gut and the liver. Although walking does not instantly improve digestion, regular movement is associated with healthier communication between the intestines, liver, and pancreas, helping maintain overall metabolic balance. When you look at the entire picture, one message becomes clear. A 45-minute walk is not simply an activity for burning calories. It is an opportunity for every major organ to practice working together more efficiently. The liver balances glucose, the muscles consume fuel, the pancreas reduces insulin demand, visceral fat releases energy more appropriately, the heart improves circulation, blood vessels become healthier, mitochondria produce energy more efficiently, and the brain coordinates everything while keeping stress under better control. These invisible improvements eventually become visible in daily life through higher energy levels, better blood sugar control, improved laboratory markers, and healthier aging. Those are the practical benefits, and the common mistakes that can prevent them, that we'll explore next. The most rewarding part of all these invisible biological changes is that they eventually become visible in everyday life. Your liver may be working more efficiently long before you notice anything in the mirror, but over time, those internal improvements begin influencing how you feel, how you move, and even what your routine blood tests may show. People who consistently include 45-minute walks in their weekly routine often report having steadier energy throughout the day. Instead of feeling exhausted after lunch or craving sugary snacks every afternoon, they experience fewer blood sugar crashes because their muscles and liver have become better at managing glucose together. Many also notice that they feel lighter after meals, recover more quickly from physical activity, and have greater endurance during ordinary daily tasks. Over weeks and months, healthcare providers may also observe encouraging changes in metabolic markers. Fasting blood glucose often becomes more stable. Post-meal glucose spikes may become smaller. Triglyceride levels may gradually improve. Some individuals with excess liver fat may also see healthier liver enzyme values alongside reductions in waist circumference and improvements in overall metabolic health. These changes do not happen overnight, but they reflect the cumulative effect of repeatedly giving the liver a healthier metabolic environment. Unfortunately, many people unintentionally prevent themselves from experiencing these benefits. One of the biggest misconceptions is believing that a single long walk will detox the liver. The liver is already detoxifying your body every hour of every day. Walking does not suddenly activate this function. Instead, it supports healthier metabolism through repeated practice. Another common mistake is walking only once each week while expecting dramatic improvements. The liver adapts to consistency, not occasional effort. Others complete a healthy walk only to immediately consume large amounts of sugary foods or alcohol, placing fresh metabolic stress on the liver just after creating healthier conditions. Some people walk too slowly for only a few minutes, while others ignore strength training, quality sleep, or excessive alcohol intake, all of which strongly influence liver health. Perhaps the most dangerous misunderstanding is assuming that fatty liver only affects people who are overweight. Many individuals with a normal body weight can still develop metabolic dysfunction and fat accumulation inside the liver. That is why regular medical checkups remain important, especially if blood tests repeatedly show elevated liver enzymes or other signs of metabolic imbalance. The encouraging news is that improving liver health does not require extreme exercise or complicated routines. It begins with simple habits that your body can repeat consistently. And that's exactly where we'll finish today's discussion. So, how can you use everything you've learned today to support your liver in the real world? The answer is surprisingly simple. Aim for a moderate walk, lasting about 30 to 45 minutes, 4 to 6 days each week. Your pace should allow you to speak in short sentences while breathing a little deeper than normal. If your schedule is busy, even a 10 to 20-minute walk after meals can help your muscles remove glucose from the bloodstream and reduce the workload placed on your liver. Combine regular walking with protein-rich meals, plenty of fiber, fewer added sugars, resistance training a few times each week, quality sleep, and regular medical checkups if you have risk factors for fatty liver disease or abnormal liver enzymes. These habits work together to create the healthy metabolic environment your liver needs. The most important lesson from today's video is this. During a 45-minute walk, your liver is not resting. It is constantly balancing blood sugar, managing glycogen, responding to insulin and glucagon, processing fatty acids, and coordinating with your muscles to keep your metabolism running smoothly. Every walk is another opportunity to strengthen that system. If you found this video helpful, let us know in the comments. Do you usually walk in the morning, before meals, or after meals? We'd love to hear about your routine. And if you enjoy science-based videos about walking, liver health, blood sugar, visceral fat, metabolism, intermittent fasting, and healthy aging, be sure to subscribe